Okay. So, students, yesterday we were studying about the refining of metals, and in the refining of metals, we have seen that the many metals are obtained by reduction processes, and the many metals which are obtained by reduction processes are not so pure, and therefore there is a need of purification, and that is refining. And generally metals like copper, zinc, gold, silver, copper, etc., these metals are to be obtained in pure state by electrolytic refining. And in the electrolytic refining, for example, when we take the electrolytic cell, you have to remember the 4 points electrolytic cell is made up of. Then cathode and anode made up of. Then which is the electrolyte, that should be noted, and how the process takes place. So which is obtained at cathode and which is obtained at anode. So here we are taking the electrolytic cell, and in the electrolytic cell, for example, we take the electrolyte copper sulfate. So let us suppose that we are purifying the copper sulfate. So copper sulfate, and here this is anode, and cathode is made up of a thin strip. So for example, key. Then this is negatively charged electrode, positively charged electrode. This is cathode, impure rod, anode, this is anode, impure rod, this is cathode, thin strip of pure metal. Now see, here we are taking the electrolyte. And see, this is CuSO4 solution. For example, we are doing the refining of copper sulfate solution, and this is impure rod of Cu. This is cathode, Cu, thin strip of pure metal. Now what happens? When we pass the electric current, what happens? The copper ions, so see, Cu ions, Cu2 positive ions from the solution get deposited on the thin strip of copper metal, which is a cathode, and an equivalent amount of Cu ion from impure anode goes into the solution. So here the Cu ions, Cu2 positive ions, on passing the electric current, get deposited from the copper sulfate solution on the cathode, which is a thin strip of pure copper metal, and therefore there will be a deficiency of copper ion in the solution. in order to make this deficiency, the equivalent amount of Cu2 positive ion from impure anode goes into the solution. And finally, the soluble impurities get dissolved in the solution and insoluble impurities get settled at the bottom of the anode, which is called anode mud. So in this way, the soluble impurities get dissolved in the solution and insoluble impurities get settled at the bottom of the anode, which is called that is anode mud. So this is about the refining of the ज्याला आपण म्हणू by refining of the metals by electrolytic refining. So electrolytic refining is done, and generally you can say, so main point that the Cu2 positive ion from the copper sulfate solution get deposited on the thin strip of the pure copper metal, and therefore there is a loss in the therefore there is a deficiency of the copper ion in the solution, and therefore equivalent amount of Cu2 positive ion from the impure rod of copper goes into the solution, and in this way you can say deficiency of copper ion is compensated. Then the next part that we have to study is the corrosion. So corrosion of the metals. Corrosion. Now you know corrosion means rusting. Corrosion also is called rusting, and many metals undergoes rusting. That is, there is a formation of thin film of, you can say, oxide layer, hydroxide layer, and or you can say carbonate layer. So you know that silver article also get rusted when exposed to the atmosphere for a long time. The silver article, that is silver metal, it reacts with the sulfur from the atmosphere. The sulfur which is present in the atmosphere comes in contact with the sulfur, and there is a formation of black layer of silver sulfide. So you know, you might have seen that the silver article also get blackened when exposed to the atmosphere for long period. Slowly silver comes in contact with the sulfur present in the atmosphere and forms silver sulfide, which is black in color, and therefore you can say that there is this is called corrosion or rusting of the silver. Then another metal, copper vessel. For example, you know copper articles when exposed to the atmosphere, that is air and moisture, for a long time, then what happens? Aerial carbon dioxide, oxygen and water, they react with the copper and forms basic copper carbonate. So brown layer of the copper article changes to pale green color, that is, there is a green coat, pale green coat on the copper article, and thus you can say copper article also get rusted. Another reaction we can write YCU plus H2O plus O2 plus CO2 giving CuOH by 2 plus CuCO2. So this is basic copper carbonate, carbonate. Basic copper carbonate. Now see the balancing, twice Cu, H2O, H22 and oxygen 1, 2, 3 to 5. 5. So see the basic copper carbonate, pale green. So this is pale green. So pale green basic copper carbonate is formed, and you might have seen, for example, if you are using the copper article or copper vessel for drinking of the, for storing the water, and then you are using the water from that copper vessel for drinking purposes, and if the vessel is kept as it is for 8 days or 10 days, then what will happen? The carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, oxygen, then water is already stored in the vessel. So it turns to pale green color. So pale green color. So there is a formation of pale green coat on the copper vessel, and in this way the rusting of the copper vessel also takes place. Then you know the most metal, that is iron. So iron, that is Fe plus H2O plus O2 giving Fe2O3 XH2O or Fe2O3 NH2. So in this way, you know, in case of copper, we have said that the brown surface, brown layer of the pure copper metal changes to pale green. Here there is a formation of brown fleck on the iron surface. Brown fleck is formed, and this formation of this brown fleck is called rusting of the iron or corrosion of the iron. So, and formula, there is no balance equation, and in the book the formula of the rusted iron is given like this: Fe2O3 XH2O or Fe2O3 NH2O. So simply remember Fe2O3 XH2O or Fe2O3 NH2O. N means a definite number of molecules. So in this way, this is called corrosion, and we have also studied regarding the corrosion in the first chapter. And that is, there is a you can say severe loss, severe economical loss due to this corrosion. And in order to prevent the corrosion, we have to do the painting, oiling, greasing, etc. So we have to perform the similar experiment. Then about the further rusting of the, you can say, metals, moisture and water both are moist, that is air and moisture both are required. And for example, in your book the experiment is given. Now which experiment is given, I tell you. For example, see, in the book we have taken 3 test tubes, A, B, C. So see, we have taken 3 test tubes, A, B, C. In the first test tube, we have taken near about 10 to 20 ml of water, and we put the cork, or add 2 iron nail and put the cork. In the B test tube, we are taking the boiled water, add 10 ml or 10 or 20 ml of boiled water. So add 10 to 20 ml of boiled water and put the iron nail and put the few ml of oil over the water. Now what happens due to boiling? Why we are taking boiling water? Because in the boiling water, when we start the boiling, the oxygen which is dissolved in the water get removed. The oxygen which is dissolved in the water get removed, and therefore there is no oxygen in the water. And similarly, in order to prevent the dissolution of the oxygen in water, in the boiled water, we are adding the oil. so that the contact of nail is with only water and not with the oxygen. So there is a contact of the nail, iron metal, with only water. And in the third test tube, see, in the third test tube, we have taken the anhydrous calcium chloride crystals. Anhydrous means which is containing not a single drop of water. There is no water at all. And such anhydrous calcium chloride crystals are added in the C test tube. And then we are putting the nail. And then we are putting the cork to the test tube. So what will happen? Anhydrous calcium chloride will absorb all the moisture present in the test tube, and test tube will be moisture free, and there will be only oxygen or air. And this experiment shows that when it is observed, when we observe all the three test tube after, you can say, 1 day, 2 days or 3 days, etc., what will happen? The iron nail which are present in the test tube A get rusted. There is a brown coating because in the test tube A, air and moisture both are available. In the second tube, in the B tube, there is only, you can say, water and no oxygen is there, no air is there. And in the third test tube, there is air but no moisture, and thus moisture and air, both the things are essential for the rusting of the iron. And in this way, for the process of rusting, moisture and air, both the things are essential. Clear? Have got the idea? So we will go ahead. Now, prevention of corrosion. So next part that we have to study is the prevention of corrosion. Prevention of corrosion. Now corrosion can be prevented, just I told you, corrosion can be prevented by, or rusting of the iron can be prevented by oiling, greasing, painting, then galvanizing, chrome plating, then anodizing and making the alloys. So anodizing, we have studied in this chapter anodizing, that is formation of thick layer of aluminum oxide on the aluminum metal, that is the anodizing process. And for that purpose what we do, we take the article which is to be coated with the thick layer of oxygen is connected to the anode, So anode is made up of the aluminum article or aluminum article which is to be coated with the thick layer of oxygen. And you can say because on electrolysis, oxygen is formed at anode, and this oxygen reacts with the aluminum layer. This oxygen reacts with the aluminum and form a thick layer of aluminum oxide. So corrosion can be prevented by painting, oiling, greasing, then you can say anodizing, then you can say chrome plating, galvanizing, etc. Now you know the term painting, then you know the oiling, you know the greasing, because we apply the paints on the iron bars of the windows and doors, for example. Then you know shutters, for example shop shutters, the shutters which are used for closing of the shop, that shutters are, in that shutter there is a greasing. So this greasing prevents the contact of oxygen and moisture also, and thus rusting is prevented, rusting is avoided, corrosion is avoided. Then you can say Third is oiling, greasing, galvanizing. Now galvanizing. For example, in the market thin sheets of the iron are available, iron sheet, and that iron sheets are coated with the zinc layer, and the coating of the zinc layer on the iron is called galvanization, and this galvanization prevents the rusting of the iron even if the small quantity of the zinc layer is removed from that sheet, isn't it? Now once you can say the sheet become resistant to the oxidation, you can say it prevents the corrosion, and in this way galvanization, that is formation of thin layer of zinc on the iron, is called galvanization. We know that there are sheets, galvanized sheets do not undergo rusting easily. And chrome plating, again handles of this cycle, motorcycle, etc. Then ring of the motorcycles, they are made up of, that is there is a chrome plating, and you can say this chrome plating you can say prevent the rusting of the iron. And then you can say alloying. What is alloy? Alloy is a homogeneous mixture of two or more metals, or a metal and non-metal, and thus by alloying the metal, the initial properties of the main metal are changed. So for example, melting point get decreased due to impurity, that is we are adding the another metal or non-metal, and therefore properties of the original metal are changed. And how the alloy is formed? For example, a primary metal is melted. A primary metal is taken in large quantity and it is melted, and then a secondary metal or non-metal, that is which is to be added, is added in small quantity, and homogeneous mixture is formed on cooling. So it is stirred and homogeneous mixture, it is allowed to cool, and thus we get the homogeneous mixture, and that is called alloy. So we define alloy as a homogeneous mixture of two or more metal, or a metal and non-metal, and thus you can say original properties of the primary metal get changed. A primary metal is taken and it is melted, and then a required quantity of the another metal or non-metal is added, and then the mixture is allowed to cool, and in this way alloys are prepared. Now for example, alloying is a very good process, or it is a very good method of improving the properties. It is a very good method of improving the properties. And so that the properties of the original metal are improved. And for example, nickel, chrome, alloy, that is iron. For example, I tell you about the iron. Iron is a very soft metal, can be stretched easily, and therefore pure iron is never used for the building. That is, it is mixed with 0.05% of the carbon. So iron when mixed with the 0.05% of the carbon, then it becomes very strong. And can then iron bars are made, which are used for the building purposes. Then nickel chrome alloy, that is used for the for preparing the handles of the bicycle, motorcycle, etc. Ring of the motorcycles are used, and bells of the cycle, they are also made up of nickel chrome alloy. And steel, again stainless steel, that is iron is mixed with the nickel and chromium. Iron is mixed with nickel and chromium, it gives a stainless steel which is strong and it prevents the rusting of the iron. It becomes very strong and it prevents the rusting of the iron. So in this way we can prepare the alloy. And I have told you about the iron. Iron is never used in pure state. It is mixed with the 0.05% of the carbon, and therefore you can say it becomes strong, and it is used for it is then converted into iron bars, iron sheets, etc., which becomes very strong, and you can say generally do not get rusted, do not rust easily, do not rust easily. So in this way, many times the metal in their pure state are not used. Now again I tell you, you know the gold ornaments. The pure gold has impurity of 24 carat. A pure gold is of 24 carat and it is very malleable and ductile, and therefore in order to prepare the ornaments, it is mixed with either silver or copper or both. Both silver and copper both are added in the gold in order to make the ornaments, and generally a gold of 22 carats is used for making the ornaments, and the ornaments also become somewhat strong and you can say durable, because gold in pure state is highly malleable, ductile, and you can say easily breaks, easily bends, and therefore it is mixed with the now what is carat? 24 carat means what? The impurity present in the gold, that is accounted as a carat, that is 24 carat is the purest form of the gold. And when we say that 22 carat, that the impurity present in 24 parts of the gold is called, that is called 22 carats gold. For example, the impurity present in 20 by weight, impurity present in gold by weight in 24 parts of the gold is called that carat. For example, 1 carat, for example, diamonds and other valuable stones, gems, they are measured in terms of carat, and 1 carat is equal to 200 milligram. 200 milligram means 1 carat for counting the carats of the diamond, gems, emeralds, etc. And in this way the alloys are used. Gold is never used in pure state. And similarly, you know brass. Brass is a alloy of copper and zinc. Copper and zinc, they are mixed together, and thus brass, the melting point of the copper get lower. And similarly bronze. What is bronze? It is a mixture of copper and tin. It is a mixture of copper and tin, that is also melting point is lowered, and you can say bronze metal is prepared. And you know solder, have you seen the soldering of the metals? For example, in the electronic shop, we see that the person, technician, is doing the soldering. Soldering means to make the joints. If the joints are open, then it for that purpose it use the solder, that is mixture of lead and tin. Mixture of lead and tin alloy is used, and it is having very low melting point, and because of which you can say the metal melts and the wires are joined to the particular point by soldering and in this way we have studied about the alloys, and that's all about the third chapter, metals and non-metals. Clear? So again, if you we will solve the exercises which are given at the end of this chapter in the next period. Okay, thank you very much.